Now, Lowcountry Forever, a public affairs presentation of the Charleston Radio Group.
It's one of the most important corridors in the Lowcountry, and if you don't travel it every day, there's no way to get around the Lowcountry all the time without at least some point being on Interstate 526, and there's a project that's going around surrounding 526, and it's our subject today on Lowcountry Forever. I'm Brian Cleary, and from the South Carolina Department of Transportation, the I526 Lowcountry Corridor Project Director, Joy Riley, joins us. Joy, thanks for being our guest today on Lowcountry Forever.
Thanks for having us on the show.
When people in the Lowcountry talk about 526, a lot of the conversation is about the completion of 526, but the project that we're talking about today is not about that, correct?
Correct. The South Carolina Department of Transportation is planning on doing improvements on the entire existing 526 corridor.
So right now what we're talking about is being referred to, I believe, as the I-526 Lowcountry Corridor East. So could you explain to people what part of 526 then we're talking about?
The Lowcountry Corridor East is the segment of 526 that starts at the Cooper River and goes all the way to US 17 in Mount Pleasant.
And so a lot of the traffic in that area is generated by the trucks and the Long Point Road exit. 526, we're talking about a road that's got a lot of traffic on it.
Yes, sir. 526 is the most congested interstate corridor, and it's a high priority for SCDOT. And the Long Point Road Interchange was identified as one of the interchanges on the corridor that have poor traffic operations.
And from what I understand, the project that you're working on now, this has been a couple of years in the making. Did the work start on this in 2018?
Yes, we've been doing planning studies since about 2018.
In reading on the website, the planning and environmental linkage study is complete. So what does that mean in terms of where the project is at now and the progress moving forward?
The planning study basically identifies what the problem is, different ways that could potentially fix the problem, and how much it costs. So there's a lot of projects that will come out of that study, but DOT tried to identify some projects that we could go out and do quickly and do now that would provide some traffic relief before the major widening comes through in the future.
So are there some solutions to the Long Point area of 526, the exit, the entrance ramps there, and the truck traffic?
Absolutely. And our public information meeting that we're having this month, it'll be going on until September 1st. You can participate online on our website. Basically, what we're showing is those preliminary concepts for improving operations at that interchange. And so we want people to give us their input on what they think about those alternatives.
So when the South Carolina Department of Transportation does a project, there's not just, hey, this is the way we're going to do it. You're giving people some insight into some options that you've come up with, correct?
Correct. We're all about fixing the traffic problems, but we also understand every community is different and a community has needs of their own. And we want to balance that. We want to find the best solution that fits also the needs of the community.
We are talking with Joy Riley today. She's with the South Carolina Department of Transportation, the I-526 Lowcountry Corridor Project Director, and I'm Brian Cleary today on Lowcountry Forever. So this is an important month for people. You are looking for input. Is that just from businesses, truckers? Who is it that you'd like to get input from on the project?
Everybody who utilizes this corridor, drives on this corridor, utilizes the interchange, folks that even just live there and live close by and may be impacted by changes in traffic. We really want to hear from everyone.
And right now, how many solutions do you think there are for the Long Point Road 526 issue?
So we have 6 alternatives that we're showing the public at this meeting. 2 of them are not really performing very well from a traffic analysis, so we probably will not carry those forward, and we have that marked on the website, which ones will likely drop out. So we have 4 of those that are performing well from our traffic analysis that will continue to develop those alternatives and select a recommended preferred alternative out of those 4.
So if I'm someone, I live in this area, and I'd like to provide you input, I guess the best way to do this through the virtual way is to go. Is there a specific website that's set up for this?
Yes. So you can go to 526lcclongpoint.com. Or you can go to our 526lowcountrycorridor.com, and it'll have a link at the top of the website there. Either way you get there, that website will have all the public information meeting materials for viewing, and you can also leave comments or ask questions on that website.
And so this may not be the easiest question to ask, but I think some people, their comments would be, fix it. Is there anything specific that you're looking for in terms of, boy, if we got this kind of feedback from people who drive that road, that would really be helpful?
All feedback is good. I think that specifically in the case of this project, there's several alternatives that introduce a new ramp in addition to the ramps that are there to provide an additional way to access the Long Point Road Wando Port terminal side of the Long Point. I think it's important to get feedback from the public on that additional access point. It's a high bar for us to get that approved by federal highways and kind of push it through the process. And so having public input that supports that type of interchange helps sometimes demonstrate that the community prefers a certain alternative over another one.
With Long Point Road on 526, it's close to the James Edwards, the Wando Bridge, as most people around here know it. This would not have any impact on the bridge, any of the recommended solutions at this point?
No, we don't think so. We are going to look for ways that we could potentially connect these ramp connections to the truck climbing lanes on the bridge, but that is something that just needs more engineering evaluation. We will be able to answer that question later this year when we have a public hearing.
And how long do people have to provide the feedback for you on this particular phase of the project?
We are requesting that folks provide their comments and feedback by September 1st. That'll give us enough time to really process those comments and feed that into our selection of a recommended preferred alternative later this year.
So after that recommendation comes through that you say, hey, we prefer this solution to the problem, is there another part where, as a member of the public, I'd be able to put some input in there, or once that decision is made, is that final? Can you take us through how this process will run out?
Yes, once we do our alternatives analysis and select that recommended preferred alternative, we will come back to the public and have a public hearing at that time. Right now, we're anticipating that will probably be in the December or January timeline going forward. We're going to try to move very quickly, take the input you give us and come up with that preferred alternative and then come back to the public for more input.
And Joy, maybe you could run through this a little more in depth for us here, because obviously when you get into a project like this, there's obviously a lot that goes in this process. Can you take us through some of those things that maybe, not being a Department of Transportation expert, I wouldn't even think of?
Yes, there is a lot that goes into it. I mean, not only is a lot of technical information and engineering design, we have to do to make sure that the road's built correctly, it's safe, and that it functions and has a long life. Those are very important things, but there's also our environmental processes, which what we would name what we're going through now. There could be 10 different solutions that work from an engineering standpoint, but then we have to balance that, fixing the problem with balancing those impacts to community and impacts to the environment. And so through this alternatives analysis, we'll be able to say, hey, these all perform well from a traffic perspective, but then we'll be able to give the public sort of a brief comparison of each alternative has X impacts to homes and residences, businesses, and X impacts to wetlands and streams and natural environmental resources. And so really that alternatives analysis will help us figure out what's the best solution that meets all those needs and minimizes those impacts.
Today on Lowcountry Forever, we're talking with Joy Riley. She is the I526 Lowcountry Corridor Project Director working with the South Carolina Department of Transportation. I'm Brian Cleary. And Joy, when we look at this, certainly everybody knows the Lowcountry has been just growing so quickly. How long term can you look at this and go, hey, if we take care of this problem that we have now, we're going to be okay for the next how many years? I know you're not looking for a Band-Aid solution. What's the long-term view of what this project can accomplish?
Typically, we design projects to be good for at least 20 years after a year of open. We can't always predict exactly what's going to happen. I think some people look at the I526 corridor and say, what were you thinking? It's not big enough for all these trucks and all this traffic. Well, we do the best we can in predicting what that future looks like. On a corridor like this, you're really itching up on those urbanized, very high volumes of traffic. And so we kind of know that after we widen and do these improvements, you're really shifting maybe away from widening, but looking at technology to manage future congestion. So not only are we designing for that 20 plus year horizon, but we're also thinking about, are we setting up this corridor for success when those innovations come online where we can manage congestion using technology?
And I think the other thing that would pop up in people's heads would be, what about the cost for this? Is the state going to be able to pay for this? Does this mean, hey, my gas tax is going to go up 5 cents a gallon? Obviously, you guys have some insight into where the money would come to complete the project.
Yes, and there's a lot of different sources that go into this. This is a federally funded project, so we would be using interstate funds that we get through the federal government. Obviously, gas tax plays into that as well. The more state money you have to leverage, you have to match all that federal money that you get. So it's important to have the state revenue as well. But this is a big project. I mean, it's the entire 526 Lowcountry Corridor Project is about $7 billion for doing improvements along the entire existing corridor. So that's a lot of money. That's about 7 years worth of funding for us, for DOT. So there will certainly be some innovative financing that will go forward on some of the future projects, but the Long Point Road Interchange improvement is a fairly affordable project at $150 million, and so it will come out of our normal federal funding for interchanges.
And if you could, for people, give us what kind of timeline do you think we could reasonably feel would move along and the construction would begin and then the project would be completed? What would you think is a good estimate of that?
We're seeking to get our environmental approvals by early next year, and that will free us up to go ahead and move into a design, build, procurement phase. We hope to have it under contract by the end of 2023. So you would start to see some right-of-way acquisition and some construction activities in early 2024.
So the best thing right now for anybody who drives on 526 or lives in that Long Point Road 526 area, you guys want to hear from those residents. You want to get feedback from the public.
Absolutely. It's very important that we get your feedback. This is your time where you really get to have your voice heard. If you have a preference over which improvements you think will work best for your community.
And this is all being done virtually through, again, September 1st. Is that correct on the deadline? And can you give us the website again where people should go to provide their feedback?
Our website for the virtual meeting is www.526lcclongpoint.com. And that will be up and available for comment until September 1st. We also have a community project office on Rivers Avenue at Gaslight Square. The project information will be available there too if you don't have access to a computer or internet.
And in terms of providing feedback, the South Carolina Department of Transportation, they actually do want to hear from people. You are looking for individual input.
We just really like to have people's input. This is your opportunity to tell us what you think.
Don't let this opportunity for your feedback to be considered in what happens on I526 at Long Point Road there. Go to 526lcclongpoint.com. Give your feedback between now and September 1st. Joy Riley is with the South Carolina Department of Transportation. She's the I526 Lowcountry Corridor Project Director and our guest today on Lowcountry Forever.
Did you know sweet tea was created in Somerville? Come celebrate the birthplace of sweet tea. Saturday, September 17th. Somerville is going to be the place to be for the annual Sweet Tea Festival. The Somerville Dream invites you to Hutchinson Square in downtown Somerville for an amazing street fair of local food trucks, outstanding live entertainment, and plenty of delicious, refreshing, ice-cold sweet tea. Plus, you'll be able to vote and decide who has the best sweet tea at this year's festival. Learn more about the annual Somerville Sweet Tea Festival today at somervilledream.org.
To protect her home and family in a disaster, Karen was willing to wade through water, mud, and insurance paperwork.
Yeah, I can do this.
You go, Karen! By simply understanding and updating what her insurance covers and doesn't cover now, she'll be better prepared no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
You've got an opportunity to help the Carolina Children's Charity. Saturday, September 24th. Take part in the 19th annual 5K partial trail run and family fun walk at Palmetto Islands County Park. There'll be food trucks, live music, and plenty of kids' activities. The event benefits Carolina Children's Charity, committed to meeting the needs of local children with birth defects and/or childhood disease since 1987. Registration is now open. Get information on the run at carolinachildren.org.
The Charleston Radio Group is the Lowcountry. Every week, we highlight local organizations and events that are helping to make a difference here where we live. If you have a group, event, or an idea to feature on Lowcountry Forever, let us know. Visit lowcountryforever.com and click on our podcast link for contact information. Now, Lowcountry Forever continues.
An event is coming up where if you love to ride bikes and or you want to help win the fight against cancer, you'll want to participate in. And one of those two things has to be true. Let's find out. I'm Brian Cleary. Today on Lowcountry Forever, we're first of all talking with Rachel Haynie. Rachel is the event manager of Lowvelo. Rachel, people hear the word Lowvelo. I know there's a point to what that is, but people just go, Lowvelo. Why do you call an event Lowvelo?
Hey, Brian, thanks for having us. Lowvelo, the name itself is in two parts. Low for low country, and velo is French for bike or cycling. But yeah, that's where the name originated from. And Lowvelo is truly a special and unique event to Charleston. You know, it's not only an extremely fun weekend bike ride event, but it's really more of a movement. And what I mean by that is Lowvelo is a year-long fundraising initiative that rallies our community together for one great cause. And that's to raise funds for cancer research right here at Hollings Cancer Center. And then, of course, we come together and celebrate all those efforts on November 5th for our bike ride event. And there are participant options for everyone, from the avid cyclist to the beginner, and then to those who may not feel comfortable riding on the road yet. We have stationary cycling classes right on Isle of Palms under a big tent right at the finish line, so you can cheer those that are coming across that finish line. And then, of course, we have our virtual option for those who want to get in their physical activity whenever and however they choose.
And not to downplay any of that, because that's all true, but the fact that there's this amazing, fun, have to be there party at the end also makes the day a little more special.
Absolutely. We have a day-long block party on Isle of Palms, and, you know, we're coming together to celebrate our cancer survivors that day and to honor those who have lost their battle to this awful disease and those who are going through it. But it's so meaningful and it's so much fun. We have catering from Swig and Swine. We'll have beer trailers. We'll have the co-op comes out with their famous Frosé trailer. We have multiple bands playing, and then we'll have many vendors as well.
And we'll give you all the information on which ride you might participate in or how to and all that. But first, we want to bring in Sara Couch. Sara is an attorney with Motley Rice. Sara, first of all, Motley Rice is an organization. You guys do amazing things in the community. Really giving back seems to be part of what the mantra is at Motley Rice.
Absolutely, Brian, and thank you for having me. At Motley Rice, we say that it's causes, not cases, and I've been there for 10 years, and I find that to be incredibly true, both in the litigation work that we do, as well as outreach in the community.
So I understand your riding abilities on a bike are just slightly under Lance Armstrong's abilities, so you're not really a bike rider, but you're involved, and this Lowvelo thing is something that you're part of. Explain how that is. Tell us your story with that relationship.
Absolutely. You are correct. I'm not a bike rider, even though I look forward to participating on a spin bike. I do the Peloton, so I'm good to go there. But about a year ago, just a little over a year, I was diagnosed with cancer by the physicians at Hollings. And over the past year, I have received treatment, and I'm currently still undergoing immunotherapy at Hollings Cancer Center. And I'm just very grateful for both the breakthroughs in the research that we are seeing, the clinical trials that are offered there, as well as the opportunity to receive that care so close to home where I can see my baby daughter every day. I've got a 20-month-old toddler.
Wow. What's your toddler's name?
Abigail.
At 20 months, so you're getting sleep now at least, right?
Yes, we do get sleep, but every day is a full contact sport.
So I have to ask you, for somebody, I've never been on a Peloton, so you're riding that Peloton. At what point do you just want to look at that person who you're looking at in the screen and just tell them to shut the heck up?
I would say prior to my diagnosis, that could have happened more often. Now I'm just super grateful to be able to get on and ride and enjoy breaking a sweat when I can.
And you mentioned the fact about the research and things that's done at the MUSC Hollings Cancer Center, you being a patient now. A lot of people kind of take that for granted, but it's the money that we're able to raise for research that will ultimately help find a cure and help people like yourself.
Absolutely. I know that the immunotherapy trial, I'm not in a trial, but I'm receiving immunotherapy that's similar to a trial that's currently being offered at Hollings, and it's the absolute cutting edge in cervical cancer, as well as various other cancers, the checkpoint inhibitors. I think it is the way of the future, and it allows you to work with your own immune system, because I can tell you from personal experience that chemotherapy is really tough. It can be necessary, but it's really hard. So to the extent our research can find new breakthroughs that work with your immune system, it's really incredible. And what I am being offered is absolutely the best care that could be offered in the country, and I verified that myself. So I'm very grateful it's right here.
And we're so grateful that MUSC, the Hollings Cancer Center, is here. It makes a difference when it's close to home. We're talking about cancer. We're talking about riding bikes. We're talking about the November 5th Lowvelo event that's coming up here in the Lowcountry. I'm Brian Cleary on Lowcountry Forever, joined by Sara Couch. She's an attorney with Motley Rice, and also by Rachel Haynie, who's the event director. So, Rachel, let's run down things. You've got a number of different elements that are part of Lowvelo, so you've kind of got a menu of options for people to participate.
Yeah, we do. So like I said, Lowvelo's for everyone. We have route options starting with our 10-mile island ride, which starts on Isle of Palms, goes to Sullivan's and back. And then we have our longer route options, which will start downtown at Brittlebank Park. Those are the 22, the 57, and 100-mile options, and they will transverse over the Ravenel Bridge with a police escort. So it's very safe, deep into Mount Pleasant, and we all circle back to Isle of Palms for our big after party. And then we have our stationary cycling classes, which are held under a big tent right on Ocean Boulevard, right at the finish line. So you're cheering on those riders as they cross the finish. And we'll have they are 45-minute classes. We'll probably have 2 to 3 throughout the day. And then we have our virtual option where you can do whatever physical activity you would like to do, when and where you would like to do it. And then, of course, you can come join us at our packet pickup party the day before on November 4th, which will be held at Firefly. And then, of course, join us on the big day on Isle of Palms on November 5th.
And Sarah, as someone who is a Peloton person riding the stationary bike, what's your personal best? How long have you gone, or what's your best ride that you've knocked out?
Oh my goodness, that would be so hard. Well, pre-diagnosis, I was actually a Division I athlete at Duke University. So I got in there pretty good with like some of the 45-minute together we ride far rides. Post-diagnosis, I'm getting back into it over the last couple of months, and I'm happy to be completing 45-minute rides, but they're going well.
So where do you think you are in your recovery in terms of, if you were 100% beforehand, now that you're going through recovery, 50% better?
I would say compared to immediately before diagnosis, when I had just a newborn baby at that time, I would be at 50%. That's pretty good.
And I have to ask, you were a Division I athlete in which sport?
Rowing. I was on the crew team.
Wow, you're just making me feel bad all the way around here. Jeez, you're in better shape after going through having a baby and cancer. And that, it sounds like the timeline here was these events happened in your life at a similar time. So a cancer diagnosis for you at that point, I think even had to be maybe a bigger pill to swallow and tougher because of all you had going on in your life.
Yeah, it was a complete shock, to put it mildly. I'm very grateful for a rapid diagnosis. My baby was 7 months old, and I had just returned back to work at Motley Rice pretty recently. And I had a routine well woman visit where I had some complaints of like back pain. But I mean, what new mom doesn't have back pain? And thankfully, Dr. Savage at MUSC knew what to do, rushed the testing, rushed the results. Within 2 days, I was in to see Dr. Graybill, who is the best oncologist out there. Highly recommend. And within a day, I was getting my scan, and I started treatment approximately 20 days after diagnosis. And that's just incredible. The gold standard is 30 days. So everything really lined up. But I know that part of that was due to the diligence of the doctors I was seeing.
And going forward, where are you at now, and what happens in terms of your treatment?
So immunotherapy, one thing about it is it tends to be a little bit of a longer therapy. So you do it every 3 weeks for my particular case, 2 years, as long as everything's going well. And my doctors are very happy and confident that things will keep going well. So I have about another 1.5 years of immunotherapy infusions remaining.
We're talking about cancer. We're talking about a bike ride today. It's Lowcountry Forever, and I'm Brian Cleary. Sara Couch joins us. She is dealing with cancer right now. She's an attorney at Motley Rice here in Charleston, and also Rebecca Haynie, who's the event director for Lowvelo. November 5th is a big day. Now, Rachel, we want to get as many people registered as soon as possible. And how do people start signing up and getting involved and ready to go with Lowvelo?
So you can go and learn more, of course, at lowvelo.org. That's where you can get all the information about the event and register there. We do encourage people to register early to get their fundraising in. And I do want to mention that something unique this year for all of our participants, and it will be open to the public as well. We are partnering with MUSC Wellness Center to host health and wellness lunch and learns. That'll be monthly starting in August. And we'll have guest speakers, experts in their area. The first lunch and learn will be a focus on nutrition and, of course, tips on cancer prevention. And then also learning more about Lowvelo and how you can get involved during these lunch and learns. But they'll start in August. And then I also want to mention that anyone listening in today, if they are interested in registering, they can use the code LV22 to waive the registration fee.
Very nice. Thank you for offering that up. That's LV22. And Rachel, I know you always have some partners who come along to help out with Lowvelo. Can you mention who some of those sponsors are for this year's event?
Absolutely. Of course, Brian and the Charleston Radio Group, you all are such huge supporters of the event. And then we have many, many partners. And what makes our sponsors, what makes them so important is that they cover fully the event costs so that we can ensure that 100% of every dollar raised from our participants goes directly to cancer research. We want to give a big shout out to our presenting sponsor, the BMOC Family Foundation. And then we also have supporting sponsors as well as Firefly, of course, the co-op of Sullivan's that'll bring out their famous Froze trailer. West Edge is one of our sponsors as well, and First Capital Bank.
And Sara, you mentioned the name Dr. Graybill. Every patient that I speak to that deals with the MUSC Hollings Cancer Center, the Children's Hospital, it's kind of amazing that right here in Charleston, we have such amazing physicians and medical facilities. It's got to make you feel better moving forward to know that that's here right in our hometown.
Oh, absolutely. Dr. Graybill was trained at the very best institutions in America and still collaborates their care. That's why I say I know that I'm receiving the best care available here. And I'm just grateful that she is only a 15-minute ride away or sometimes a text message away.
And you are an attorney at Motley Rice. And again, we talked about the amount that Motley Rice gives back. What kind of law do you do yourself? In case anybody's thinking about, hey, I need an attorney, maybe Sarah's who I need to call.
Well, my most recent litigation for the past few years has been in the national opioid litigation and involving the manufacturing cases.
Well, let's hope no one listening needs any of that. So you're not a Johnny Depp, Amber Heard attorney or anything like that.
That's not me.
Well, Sara, it's got to be exciting for you as you get back, maybe close to 100% by the time you're at the tent on the Isle of Palms and doing the stationary bike?
That is absolutely my goal. I am getting ready to. I've been training. I'm going to be there. It's going to be 45 minutes. It's going to be wonderful.
And Rachel, one more time for people who are listening, we need to get them to the website. We want them to do that. Even though the event is in November, now is the time to sign up. So how can they do that again?
Lowvelo.org and use code LV22 to waive that $50 registration fee.
And that would be the same whether I'm participating in the Sullivan's Island ride, the 100-mile run, or stationary or virtual.
That's right.
And for anyone who hasn't experienced the event, Rachel, it really is in the end, we're raising money, we're doing good things, but it's a lot of fun.
It is. It's extremely fun. And you're riding for something more. You're riding for those who are going through their battle right now. And we're honoring and celebrating those who are cancer survivors. So it's a very special day. Not only is it fun, but it's very special.
And it's an event that you want to be a part of. Sara Couch from Motley Rice and Rachel Haynie, the event director of Lowvelo, our guest today on Lowcountry Forever.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Thanks for listening to Lowcountry Forever. If you missed any of this week's show, there's a complete recording under the podcast link at lowcountryforever.com. Lowcountry Forever is a public affairs presentation of the Charleston Radio Group.